Good morning and welcome to the Commission's press room. Today is Friday, the 29th of May, and it is our pleasure to have here with us Executive Vice President Vestager on the Solvency Support Instrument. Executive Vice President, welcome. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. In the past few months, I think everyone in Europe has made extraordinary efforts to help control the new coronavirus. We have pulled together in local communities and all over Europe. I think we all understand that none of us is safe until all of us is safe. And those efforts have borne fruit. But the European economies, they are suffering. And lots of people are at risk of losing their job. Our lives and livelihoods, well, they still depend on us working together, not least by pooling Europe's resources to help our economies get through the crisis. In the last few weeks, the coronavirus have hit many businesses hard. Understandably, because when your doors are closed for customers, well, your revenues, they collapse. Member states and union have pulled together rapidly, reacting by setting up massive liquidity schemes. This will not be enough, though, since the losses are so substantial that most capital reserves will soon be gone. Our best estimate is that Europe's businesses will need 720 billion euros this year to replace that lost equity. Without it, many otherwise viable businesses will face insolvency. That would put millions of jobs in Europe at risk and threaten our ability to recover from the crisis. Our temporary framework for state aid that already enables member states to give aid to restore the share capital of businesses. It sets conditions to protect the level playing field in our single market. But this crisis has uneven effects. Some sectors of the economy and some parts of Europe have suffered more than others. And although state aid can help soften the blow, not all member states have the same room in their national budgets to provide companies with support. Indeed, the differences in size of European economies and budgets risk to further fragment the single market. We are strongly connected in the European economy. If companies in need are not being helped in one part of Europe, this could harm other parts. But that also works the other way around. When companies in certain parts of the continent are being helped, well, then it has positive spillover effects on Europe as a whole. Because Europe's economies are so deeply intertwined, none of us will recover strongly from this crisis unless we recover together. This Wednesday, the Commission put forward our proposal for a recovery package built on two components: the reinforced multi-annual financial framework and a temporary recovery instrument called Next Generation EU. Next Generation EU has three major objectives: support for member states, support for companies, and how to deal with the lessons learned from this crisis. Today, I'd like to present the Solvency Support Instrument. I have worked closely with my colleague, Paolo Gentilone, to develop this instrument. And Paolo will be here later today to introduce another part of this recovery package. The Solvency Support Instrument will enable equity support to businesses all over Europe. It will be focused where businesses are most in need of support as a result of the pandemic. So we focus on member states and sectors hardest hit, and on the member states which are the least able to offer equity support to businesses. Let me give you an example. Let's say a manufacturing company can no longer borrow to cover its liquidity needs without straining its capital. This manufacturer can possibly turn to an existing investment fund or a new one that is set up for this specific purpose of providing equity support. And here the solvency support instrument can provide a guarantee for the fund to cover possible losses. This would give an incentive for the investment fund to take a higher risk and to support the manufacturer even in these uncertain times. And this also makes it possible for the investment fund to attract other private investors. Different member states in different financial markets and different sized companies all over, well, they need different solutions. The proposed regulation, similar to the original regulation on the European Fund for Strategic Investment, leaves a lot of freedom for the group of the European Investment Bank to develop different solutions that are tailor-made to the needs in each member state. We foresee that the European Investment Bank Group will work through existing entities or newly established intermediaries, specially set up for this purpose. These intermediaries, they can be equity funds, investment vehicles. They would mainly be set up by the private sector and needing support to increase their level of solvency investment. We will make technical assistance available to set up these specific structures fast in order to be able to make the support happen fast. The proposal aims to mobilize 300 billion euros for equity investment in viable businesses through the European Fund for Strategic Investment. Part of the guarantee will already be available this year. And the goal is to crowd in significant private investment for equity in companies. It is a temporary instrument because it's aimed to help out in this crisis. As I mentioned in the beginning, the needs we see are 720 billion euros. So the 300 billion are not the only answer to the equity gap in the market. Member states are also designing national measures. So this instrument is first and foremost for those member states who cannot afford to intervene, as we need to rebalance the single market to the benefit of us all. The solvency support will come with strings attached. The intermediary funds must be established and operate within the EU, and beneficiary companies, well, they must be economically viable. The solvency support instrument is about providing solvency support through intermediaries and not about the European Union buying equity directly in companies. It will support businesses to prepare for upcoming challenges, hopefully also for upcoming opportunities, by being more resilient and making efforts to adapt to, of course, green and digital transitions. In short, to shape a better and future-proof economy. The investments supported by these instruments, well, they need to deliver on the objectives set by the Green Deal and the digital agenda. As an example, transport and agricultural sectors shall be encouraged to put in place green transition plans. Same would be required to companies from sectors covered by the EU emission trading system. With the agreement of the European Parliament and the Council, this support can happen already this year. That will enable us to recover strongly together. Also, within the Commission, we have worked closely together. Here, as said earlier, I have worked closely together with Paolo Gentiloni, and Paolo will be in the press room later today to present more of this package and, of course, also take more questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Margrethe.